Have you ever noticed how much power is lost in noise? How many times you've wasted energy proving a point, defending yourself, or explaining to people who were never truly listening? Every word you throw into the air is energy you'll never get back. And in a world that thrives on constant chatter, the strongest person is often the one who learns to stay silent. Silence is not weakness. It's not retreat. It's control. It's the discipline of knowing when to speak and when to guard your energy. The loudest person in the room is rarely the most powerful. The one who doesn't need to speak to be felt, the one who commands attention through presence, that's the person who carries true strength. Think about how much noise surrounds you right now. Social feeds overflowing with opinions. Conversations designed to provoke, not enlighten. People who argue, gossip, and distract, not to grow, but to drain. If you let yourself get pulled into that storm, your mind becomes scattered, your focus disappears, and your progress slows down. You start living for reaction instead of intention. And deep inside, you know that's not the life you want. Silence is a weapon against distraction. It clears the clutter so your mind can finally breathe. In silence, your thoughts sharpen, your decisions become stronger, your vision becomes clearer. Science even proves that silence lowers stress, improves memory, and strengthens the brain's ability to focus. While everyone else is burning themselves out in endless noise, you gain energy by holding it in, by conserving it, by using it only where it matters. And here's the truth. The more you talk, the more you give away your power. Every unnecessary explanation, every argument, every moment you defend yourself to people who don't care, it all chips away at your strength. But the moment you choose silence, you stop handing out pieces of yourself. You keep your power where it belongs, inside you, fueling you, driving you. Silence isn't about shutting the world out forever. It's about choosing wisely where your words, your thoughts, and your energy go. It's about refusing to scatter yourself across meaningless conversations and shallow approval. It's about building an inner world so strong, so unshakable, that you no longer need the world's noise to validate who you are. Ask yourself, what would happen if you stopped explaining yourself? What would happen if you focused your energy only on building, creating, and becoming? Imagine how much more you would accomplish if your time wasn't wasted on noise that doesn't serve your future. Imagine how unstoppable you would feel when you no longer respond to negativity, when you no longer feed gossip, when you no longer need to be understood by everyone around you. This is where silence transforms you. It doesn't just make you stronger, it makes you untouchable. You start to feel a peace that others can't disturb. You start to feel a confidence that doesn't need to shout. You start to carry yourself with a presence that commands respect without demanding it. And once you've tasted that level of control, you'll never want to go back to the chaos of noise. Stay with this until the end, because if you learn to focus on yourself and stay silent, you will walk into 2025 with a kind of power that most people will never experience, a power that doesn't need to be seen to be felt, a power that belongs to you alone. The truth is, focus has never been harder to keep than it is right now. The year you are living in is designed to steal it from you. Every scroll, every notification, every opinion thrown your way is a test of whether you will stay true to your path or allow yourself to be pulled into someone else's noise. The world thrives on distraction, and if you are not careful, you become a prisoner to it without even realizing. You wake up, and before you know it, your mind is consumed by things that don't move your life forward. Hours are lost, energy is drained, and the dreams you once swore mattered begin to fade in the background. But there is something powerful about taking your focus back. When you cut away the endless noise and turn your attention inward, you begin to reclaim your life. You begin to remember who you are and what you are meant to do. Focus is not just about productivity. It is about survival in a world that profits from your distraction. The more scattered your attention, the weaker your will becomes. The sharper your focus, the stronger you grow. Look around at the world in 2025. Everyone is chasing validation. Everyone is trying to prove something to people they don't even respect. Everyone is speaking louder, but very few are listening, and even fewer are growing. When you choose to focus on yourself, you step out of that cycle. You stop being a puppet controlled by opinions, and you become the master of your own time, your own thoughts, and your own direction. The psychology is simple. The brain cannot thrive in chaos. It craves clarity, and clarity comes only when you filter out distractions. Studies show that constant noise, digital or emotional, weakens memory, raises anxiety, and kills creativity. But silence paired with self-focus rewires the brain to think deeper, plan smarter, and perform at levels noise will never allow. Imagine entering this year with that advantage while everyone else drowns in distraction. That is the reward of keeping your focus on yourself. This is not about selfishness, it's about self-preservation. Because if you don't focus on yourself, no one else will. If you don't guard your mind, it will be shaped by the endless voices around you. If you don't choose your direction, you will be dragged by the current of others' expectations. Focusing on yourself is the greatest act of responsibility you can take. It is the way you honor your potential and protect the future you want to create. And here's what makes it powerful. When you focus deeply on yourself, you no longer need the outside world to motivate you. You stop chasing recognition because your progress becomes the proof. You stop looking for approval because your growth speaks louder than any words ever could. You become self-sustaining, fueled by discipline and vision instead of fragile and dependent on external praise. This year is not forgiving to the distracted. The ones who scatter themselves across noise will fall behind. The ones who guard their focus, who stay silent, who channel every ounce of their energy into growth, those are the ones who will rise. You must choose where you belong. So ask yourself, will you let the noise of 2025 swallow you whole? Or will you rise above it by turning inward, sharpening your focus, and claiming the strength that is already inside you? The choice is yours, and the power to transform everything begins the moment you decide to guard your attention and place it fully where it belongs, on yourself. Noise doesn't just surround you, it invades you. It enters your mind through constant conversations, endless debates, and the flood of information you never asked for. It fills your thoughts with doubt, with comparison, with questions that keep you second-guessing yourself. You begin to hear so many voices that your own becomes faint, and that is the most dangerous loss of all, losing the sound of your own truth beneath the weight of the world's noise. Silence is how you reclaim that voice. When you strip away the noise, you create space for clarity. Your mind begins to organize what truly matters. You notice patterns in your thinking. You see the difference between distractions and priorities. You realize how much of your energy has been wasted on things that never deserved your attention in the first place. In silence, you stop reacting and start understanding. And from that understanding comes strength. The human brain thrives in stillness. Neuroscience shows that silence allows new brain cells to form, improving learning, memory, and emotional regulation. In other words, silence doesn't just calm you, it builds you. It creates mental sharpness that constant chatter destroys. The quiet moments are when breakthroughs happen, when solutions appear, when visions become clear. Yet most people never experience this because they're too busy filling every second with noise. The more you listen to the outside world, the less you hear your inner world. The more you engage with pointless arguments, the less time you give to your real growth. This is why people drift through life, constantly busy but never fulfilled, constantly talking but never progressing. They mistake activity for purpose. But true purpose doesn't come from the outside, it comes from within, discovered only when you stop long enough to hear it. Imagine a life where your decisions are no longer shaped by the opinions of strangers. Imagine a mind free from the constant comparison that social media feeds. Imagine the peace of knowing exactly what you want and refusing to be shaken by anything that doesn't align with it. That life begins when you choose silence, because in silence, you stop absorbing the noise of others and start listening to your own inner compass. And here lies the power. Silence doesn't make you invisible. It makes you untouchable. While others exhaust themselves proving who they are, you conserve your strength for building who you are. While others speak to be heard, you act to be remembered. Silence is not emptiness. It is focus. It is discipline. It is presence. It is the foundation of a mind that cannot be broken by distractions. You owe it to yourself to experience that kind of clarity, to know the calm of a focused mind in a chaotic world, to feel the unshakable confidence of hearing your own voice louder than the noise around you. That is the reward of cutting through the chatter. That is the freedom you unlock when you let silence guide you. Every distraction you silence, every opinion you ignore, every moment you choose stillness over noise, it all brings you closer to yourself. And the closer you are to yourself, the stronger and more unstoppable you become. Every word you speak carries energy, and every conversation you enter costs you something. The question is whether what you give away is worth what you get in return. Most of the time, it isn't. Most of the time, you pour your energy into arguments, explanations, and pointless debates that leave you drained instead of strengthened. This is why silence is not just about clarity. It is about conservation. It is about protecting the energy you need to build, to grow, to rise. Think about how often people exhaust themselves by speaking too much. They explain their plans to people who don't care. They defend themselves against critics who will never be satisfied. They argue with negativity that thrives on their attention. Each word they give away is energy wasted, energy that could have been invested in their own goals, their own vision, their own growth. And this is the trap that keeps most people stuck. They give their energy to battles that don't matter and wonder why they feel too tired to fight the ones that do. When you choose silence, you choose strength. You refuse to spend your energy where it will not bring you closer to your future. You refuse to hand your power over to people who feed on reaction. You refuse to leak your focus through words that serve no purpose. Silence preserves you. It gives you the stamina to endure, the discipline to push forward, and the clarity to stay aligned with what matters most. Psychology confirms this. Every decision, every conversation, every unnecessary word drains your mental resources. This is called decision fatigue, and it leaves your brain weaker, less disciplined, and more likely to give in to distraction. But silence acts as a shield against this fatigue. By speaking less, by conserving words, you conserve willpower, you sharpen the mind, you keep your strength intact for the battles that truly matter. This is why silence is powerful. It makes you efficient. Every ounce of energy that isn't wasted in noise becomes fuel for creation. Every distraction you refuse becomes time reclaimed. Every argument you don't enter becomes space for growth. Silence is not empty. It is full of preserved strength, full of hidden energy, full of untapped potential waiting to be directed into something meaningful. And here is the shift that changes everything. Once you learn to conserve your energy, you begin to realize how much you are giving away to things that never deserved it. You see the difference between reaction and intention. You recognize that speaking less doesn't make you weaker. It makes you unshakable. You understand that silence is not the absence of power. It is the discipline of power under control. Imagine walking into every day with your energy intact. Imagine having the strength to focus deeply on your goals without the weight of wasted conversations pulling you down. Imagine the calm of knowing that your energy belongs to you, not to arguments, not to gossip, not to empty distractions. That is what silence gives you. The more you master it, the more unstoppable you become. Because while the world burns itself out in endless noise, you stand calm, focused, and strong, holding all of your energy, all of your power, ready to use it where it truly counts. The world you live in is restless, loud, and chaotic. Everywhere you turn, there is someone trying to pull you into their storm, opinions disguised as advice, gossip dressed as conversation, negativity presented as truth. If you are not careful, you let it all in, and before long, your peace is gone. Your mind is restless, your spirit unsettled, and your energy scattered. That is the cost of giving the world too much of yourself. And that is why protecting your peace is not optional. It is survival. Silence is the shield that keeps chaos out. When you choose not to respond, you refuse to be dragged into battles that don't serve your future. When you walk away from gossip, you refuse to allow toxic energy into your space. When you hold your tongue in the face of provocation, you take the power back into your hands instead of letting others dictate how you feel. Peace is not found in the absence of challenges. It is created in the presence of boundaries. And silence is one of the strongest boundaries you can build. There is a psychology behind this. When you engage in negativity, your brain releases stress hormones that weaken your focus, damage your mood, and drain your willpower. When you stay silent, those storms pass by without entering you. You remain calm while others burn out. You remain centered while others are consumed. This calm becomes your greatest advantage because it allows you to think clearly while the rest of the world reacts blindly. People underestimate the power of protecting peace. They think saying yes to everything makes them likable. They think responding to every attack makes them strong. They think joining every conversation makes them relevant. But the truth is, none of those things bring real growth. They only keep you trapped in cycles of noise. The person who knows how to stay silent, who knows how to walk away, who knows how to keep their peace intact, is the person who always rises higher. Protecting your peace doesn't make you cold. It makes you wise. It means you understand that not every voice deserves your attention. Not every conflict deserves your reaction. Not every distraction deserves your time. It means you value your mind enough to guard it from poison. It means you value your future enough to keep it safe from unnecessary battles. This wisdom is rare, but once you have it, you become untouchable. Imagine living each day unshaken by negativity. Imagine walking into any environment, no matter how chaotic, and carrying a calm that nothing can disturb. Imagine focusing all your energy on building instead of wasting it on defending. That is the reward of silence. That is the strength of protecting your peace. And here's the truth you must accept. The world will never stop being loud. People will never stop trying to pull you into their drama. The storms will always come. But your power lies in how you respond. You can either lose yourself in the noise or rise above it by guarding your silence and protecting your peace. The choice is yours. And the moment you choose peace, you choose power. You choose clarity. You choose freedom. Strength does not come from how loudly you speak, but from how deeply you build. When you stop pouring your energy into arguments and distractions, you finally have the space to turn that energy inward. This is where transformation begins. When you choose to focus on yourself, you cultivate resilience. You develop the kind of strength that doesn't rely on the outside world. You grow roots so deep that no storm can shake you. Every moment you invest in yourself is a moment that multiplies. Time spent in silence becomes time spent in growth. Energy that is no longer wasted on proving yourself becomes fuel for discipline, learning, and self-mastery. This is how inner strength is built. Not through constant exposure to the world's noise, but through consistent dedication to your own progress. The more you pour into yourself, the more unshakable you become. Psychology reveals that growth happens most effectively in focused solitude. When you are away from distractions, your brain shifts into deeper states of processing, allowing you to reflect, to integrate, to learn. This is why silence feels uncomfortable to most people, because it forces them to face themselves. But what feels uncomfortable is often the very thing that unlocks transformation. Those who lean into silence discover their patterns, their strengths, their weaknesses, and their potential. They see themselves clearly, and from that clarity comes the power to change. Focusing on yourself also means refusing to measure your worth by comparison. The moment you turn inward, you stop asking how you measure up against others and start asking how far you've come against your own past. You stop living to compete and start living to improve. And this shift changes everything. Instead of being drained by envy or insecurity, you become fueled by progress. Instead of being weakened by distraction, you become strengthened by discipline. This is the kind of power that the outside world cannot give you and cannot take from you. It is built in silence. It is refined through focus. It is protected by your choice to prioritize yourself over noise. And once it is built, it radiates. People begin to notice not because you told them, but because you have become undeniable. Your strength speaks louder than words ever could. Focusing inward is not selfish. It is the foundation for every contribution you will make to the world. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot lift others if you are too weak to stand. By strengthening yourself, by mastering your emotions, by building your vision, you create the ability to impact others from a place of power instead of depletion. Silence allows you to gather, to grow, and to rise, so that when you do choose to act, you act with force, with clarity, with purpose. This is the silent path to greatness, the choice to value your own growth above the distractions of the world, to prioritize building what lasts over chasing what fades, to focus so deeply on yourself that the noise outside no longer controls you. In that focus, you will find resilience, peace, and an unstoppable strength that no one can take away. Growth rarely happens under the spotlight. It takes shape in the quiet, behind closed doors, away from the eyes of others. The world glorifies loud success, but the truth is that real progress is made in silence, in the unseen hours when no one is watching. That is where discipline is built. That is where skills are sharpened. That is where your transformation takes root. When you learn to embrace silence, you give yourself the greatest advantage, privacy. You protect your goals from the judgment and interference of others. You shield your vision from the noise of doubt and skepticism. You remove the pressure of needing to prove yourself before you are ready. This allows you to grow in peace without distraction, without interruption, without sabotage. What the world doesn't see, it cannot touch. And what it cannot touch, it cannot destroy. The psychology is clear. When you speak less about your plans, you protect your motivation. Studies show that announcing your goals gives your brain a false sense of accomplishment, making you less likely to follow through. But when you stay silent and keep your focus inward, your brain stays hungry. It stays driven. It pushes you to act instead of settling for words. This is why the silent achievers always move further. They don't waste energy talking about the path, they walk it. Silence also removes the weight of outside expectations. The moment you announce your plans, you invite opinions. You invite criticism. You invite pressure to meet timelines that aren't aligned with your own. But when you keep your goals private, you stay free. Free to move at your own pace. Free to fail and learn without judgment. Free to build without interference. That freedom becomes the fuel for steady, unstoppable growth. There's also power in surprising people. When you work in silence, your results arrive unexpected, undeniable, and unchallenged. Instead of wasting energy trying to convince others of your potential, you let your progress prove it for you. The silent worker carries an element of mystery, and that mystery commands respect. People can question words, but they cannot question results. Silence transforms growth into something sacred. It becomes a personal covenant between you and your vision. It strips away the noise of outside voices and brings you face to face with your own discipline, your own consistency, your own resilience. It is not glamorous. It is not celebrated, but it is real. And in the long run, it is what separates those who dream from those who achieve. Every quiet hour you dedicate to yourself compounds. Every distraction you cut away strengthens your foundation. Every goal you pursue in silence brings you closer to a life that doesn't need validation because it is built on truth, on focus, on perseverance. This is the silent advantage, the ability to grow unseen, untouched, and undisturbed, to let your transformation happen in the shadows so that when a time comes, your results speak with a power louder than any words could ever reach. And when you choose this path, you no longer chase recognition. You embody it. Validation is a trap that steals your power. The more you chase it, the more you depend on it, and the more you lose yourself in the process. Every time you look outward for approval, you give away a piece of your strength. You let the opinions of others decide how you feel, what you do, and who you become. That is no way to live. That is not freedom. That is slavery disguised as acceptance. Silence frees you from that trap. When you stay quiet, you stop asking the world to recognize you. You stop needing applause to feel worthy. You stop relying on likes, comments, and praise to measure your value. Instead, you turn inward and you begin to recognize yourself. You see your progress without needing anyone else to confirm it. You honor your growth without waiting for someone else to notice. You build a life that is validated not by the outside world, but by your own discipline, your own effort, your own results. The psychology is undeniable. People who seek constant approval live with higher anxiety, lower confidence, and weaker resilience. They are driven by fear of rejection instead of the hunger for growth. But those who are rooted in self-validation carry a different kind of power. They move in silence, fueled by purpose, not applause. They are unshaken by criticism and uninterested in praise. Their strength is internal, and that makes it unbreakable. Breaking free from validation means learning to be content with silence after your victories. It means resisting the urge to announce every step, every move, every success. It means keeping your progress sacred until it speaks for itself. The less you seek recognition, the more powerful you become, because you are no longer working to be seen. You are working to become. And here is the paradox. The moment you stop chasing validation, you attract more respect than ever before. People are drawn to those who don't beg for attention. They respect those who stay grounded, who let their results speak, who carry themselves with quiet confidence. Silence makes you magnetic because it separates you from the noise. It makes people curious, and curiosity creates respect. This freedom is priceless. When you no longer need the world's approval, you stop fearing its rejection. You stop molding yourself to fit expectations. You stop delaying your growth for the sake of being understood. You begin to live authentically, fully, and without apology. That is the kind of life that leads to greatness. Imagine waking up each day knowing that your worth is not tied to anyone else's opinion. Imagine working with relentless focus, not because someone is watching, but because you refuse to betray your own potential. Imagine carrying yourself with such calm confidence that no amount of criticism can shake you and no amount of praise can distract you. That is what silence gives you. That is the strength of breaking free from external validation. The choice is simple. Continue chasing approval and remain trapped in dependency, or stay silent, focus on yourself, and build a life so strong that validation becomes irrelevant. True freedom is found when your value comes from within, and no one on the outside can ever take it away. Discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you want to become. Without it, dreams remain fantasies. With it, everything changes. But discipline cannot survive in chaos. It cannot thrive when your energy is scattered across noise and distractions. Discipline requires focus, silence, and an unwavering commitment to yourself. When you cut away the unnecessary, when you stop explaining, defending, and seeking validation, you create the perfect environment for discipline to grow. Every choice you make is a test of discipline. Do you give in to the noise, or do you stay committed to your path? Do you waste your time proving yourself to others, or do you invest it in building yourself for the future? Discipline is forged in these small, silent decisions, and it is those decisions that separate the ones who talk from the ones who achieve. The psychology of discipline is simple. Your brain is wired to seek comfort. It wants the easy path, the familiar distraction, the quick reward. But when you stay silent and focused, you train your mind to endure discomfort. You teach yourself to delay gratification. You rewire your brain to crave progress more than validation, to choose growth over ease, to find strength in doing what most people avoid. This is where transformation happens, not in bursts of motivation, but in disciplined consistency. Silence strengthens discipline because it removes the temptation to waste energy. When you are quiet, you are not distracted by defending your choices or explaining your vision. You simply act. You conserve your willpower for what truly matters. You direct every ounce of energy towards your growth instead of scattering it across meaningless battles. This is why silent people often appear unshakable. They are too focused on their discipline to be disturbed by noise. The world does not reward the distracted. It rewards the discipline. In 2025, when attention is the most valuable currency, those who master silence and focus will outpace everyone else. While others burn themselves out trying to be seen, the discipline rise quietly, consistently, and without resistance. They don't wait for the right moment. They don't ask for permission. They move with precision, and their results speak for them. Imagine what your life would look like if every day you honored your discipline. Imagine how much progress you would make if you invested all the energy you waste on noise into your growth. Imagine the pride of knowing that you are no longer at the mercy of distraction, but fully in control of your own path. That is the reward of choosing discipline over noise, silence over chatter, focus over chaos. This is the truth. Discipline will not feel easy. It will demand sacrifice. It will demand silence. It will demand that you walk away from the comfort of being understood in exchange for the discomfort of becoming stronger. But every sacrifice compounds. Every disciplined choice builds momentum. Every moment of silence fuels the next step of your transformation. The ones who rise are not the ones who speak the loudest. They are the ones who stay silent, stay focused, stay disciplined, and keep moving forward no matter what. And if you choose that path, you choose to build a life that noise can never touch. Strength is measured in restraint. Every moment you resist the urge to react, to argue, to explain, to defend, you build a muscle that cannot be broken by circumstance. The world wants you to respond impulsively, to give away your energy, to let your emotions dictate your actions. But true power comes from control. It comes from the ability to act deliberately rather than react compulsively. It comes from mastering your impulses and directing your focus where it truly matters. Restraint is not weakness. It is the foundation of unshakable confidence. When you hold your tongue in moments of provocation, you protect your peace. When you remain silent in the face of criticism, you preserve your energy for meaningful action. When you refuse to participate in the chaos around you, you rise above it. This control, this restraint is magnetic. People feel it even when you don't speak. Your presence alone communicates power, clarity, and stability. The psychology behind restraint is profound. Impulse decisions, reactive words, and emotional outbursts release dopamine that temporarily feels rewarding, but they deplete energy, weaken judgment, and scatter focus. Silence and deliberate restraint, on the other hand, train your brain to prioritize long-term gain over short-term satisfaction. They cultivate patience, sharpen decision-making, and strengthen your ability to endure challenges without losing composure. Those who master restraint rarely fail because they are not at the mercy of emotion or distraction. When you choose restraint, you become unpredictable. Others cannot manipulate you. They cannot read your reactions. They cannot provoke a response that drains your energy. This unpredictability becomes a form of power. It forces respect. It commands attention. It shifts dynamics in your favor because the world does not know how to approach someone who is governed by focus, not by impulse. Restraint is also the silent architect of mastery. When you hold back from unnecessary interactions, when you resist engaging in trivial matters, you free time and energy to deepen your skills, to expand your knowledge, to refine your craft. The world sees your restraint as composure, but you know it is strategy. Every moment of silence is a deliberate choice to invest in your growth rather than in distractions that serve no purpose. Imagine what your life would be like if every action you took was deliberate, every word measured, every reaction controlled. Imagine moving through each day with energy intact, focus sharpened, and peace unshaken. Imagine the confidence that comes from knowing no one can disturb your path because you have mastered the discipline of restraint. That is not a fantasy. It is attainable through silence, through focus, through control over yourself. The world rewards those who are calm in chaos, steady in pressure, and disciplined in energy. Every act of restraint compounds into unshakable presence. Every moment you resist distraction, you grow stronger. Every time you choose silence over reaction, you become more powerful. Restraint is the quiet force behind every great achievement. It is what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. It is what turns potential into mastery. And when you embrace it fully, you no longer live at the mercy of the world's noise. You live in command of yourself, your energy, and your destiny. Power often comes in ways the world doesn't recognize. It is not in loud declarations, dramatic gestures, or constant visibility. It is in presence, it is in calm, it is in the ability to act with precision while others are distracted by chaos. Silence sharpens this power. It allows you to think clearly, move deliberately, and operate with authority that words alone cannot create. Those who master silence do not need to prove themselves. Their influence is felt long before it is seen. When you cultivate inner power through silence, you stop being predictable. People no longer anticipate your reactions, your decisions, or your emotions. This unpredictability is a form of strength. It commands respect because it demonstrates control. It signals that you are not moved by the noise, the criticism, or the opinions of others. It shows that your energy is yours to command and that you will not allow anyone to manipulate it. In a world full of chaos, that kind of control is magnetic. The psychology is clear. Predictability and reaction signals weakness, while measured responses signal mastery. When you respond only when necessary, you conserve energy and gain leverage. Every word, every action, every decision becomes deliberate. You are no longer reacting to circumstance, but creating influence. The world may not understand it, but influence always follows discipline, focus, and restraint. People notice results before they notice words, and those who operate silently consistently produce outcomes that speak volumes. Silent power also creates space for focus. By refusing to be constantly seen, constantly heard, constantly validated, you free your mind for higher thinking. You remove the clutter of irrelevant interaction and allow yourself to devote energy to what truly matters, your goals, your skills, your vision. The energy others waste on performing, arguing, or proving themselves, you redirect inward. That energy becomes your leverage, your momentum, your advantage. Imagine walking into every situation with confidence that is unshakable because it's internal. Imagine making decisions that are precise, effective, and calm because your mind is undisturbed by external noise. Imagine carrying a presence that commands attention without needing words, that draws people toward you without effort. and it communicates authority without demand. That is the power of silence realized. True influence is not loud. It does not need approval. It does not seek recognition. It is felt in how decisions are made, how energy is conserved, how calm is maintained under pressure. It is the power of being intentional with every thought, every word, and every action. When you operate from this space, you no longer compete with the noise. You rise above it. You move through it untouched. You lead without needing to dominate. The moment you embrace silent power, you step into a level of control few ever experience. You no longer live at the mercy of distraction or the opinions of others. You hold your energy like a weapon, precise, unstoppable, and effective. That is what separates ordinary effort from extraordinary results. That is what makes silence not just a choice, but a strategy for dominance, focus, and transformation. Focus is the most valuable resource you have, yet it is constantly under siege. Every notification, every opinion, every distraction is designed to pull you away from your goals. The world thrives on scattered attention because scattered attention makes people reactive, emotional, and dependent on external stimuli. But when you guard your focus, when you direct your energy toward yourself and your growth, you gain a superpower that the rest of the world will never understand. The moment you commit to focus, you change the way you experience everything. Tasks that once felt overwhelming become manageable. Decisions that once felt confusing become clear. Energy that once felt drained is redirected into meaningful action. Your mind stops jumping from one distraction to the next. Your thoughts gain structure, your priorities gain clarity, and your path forward becomes undeniable. Focus is the quiet engine behind every achievement, and the disciplined mind that masters it is unstoppable. Psychology shows that attention is finite. Every time you allow yourself to be pulled into someone else's drama or noise, you are giving away resources you can never reclaim. Every unnecessary conversation, every argument, every moment of trying to explain or justify yourself depletes mental strength. But when you focus inward, you conserve your energy. You channel it into growth, mastery, and progress. You invest it in yourself rather than scattering it across distractions that lead nowhere. Focus also transforms your perception of time. When you are fully present with yourself, when you dedicate your energy intentionally, you accomplish in hours what others spend days attempting. Your productivity is no longer measured by busyness, but by results. Every moment is leveraged. Every choice is deliberate. Every action compounds into momentum that cannot be stopped. Those who master focus in silence gain not only power, but freedom. Freedom to move efficiently, to create effectively, and to grow exponentially. Imagine living without distraction. Imagine your mind uncluttered, your energy intact, and your attention devoted entirely to the tasks that matter. Imagine the peace of knowing that you are building, learning, and creating without interference. Imagine the confidence of knowing that no external chaos can pull you from your purpose because you have trained yourself to remain unmoved. That is the reward of mastering focus. When focus becomes a habit, everything else aligns. Discipline becomes easier because your attention is not fragmented. Restraint becomes natural because your mind is centered. Peace becomes inevitable because you no longer allow external noise to dictate your energy. The results you achieve speak louder than words ever could, and your life begins to reflect the clarity of a mind fully committed to itself. The choice is simple. Scatter your attention and let the world shape your energy, or guard your focus, protect your peace, and channel every ounce of your power into becoming the person you were meant to be. Those who choose focus rise above the noise, act with precision, and transform potential into unstoppable results. That is the silent path to mastery, the invisible work that produces undeniable success, and the force that will carry you through 2025. Stronger, sharper, and unshakable. Freedom begins where noise ends. Moment you stop reacting to the world, the moment you stop chasing approval and defending yourself, you step into a space that is entirely yours. This space is not empty. It is full of potential, energy, and opportunity. In this silence, you are no longer a passenger in life. You become the driver. You are in control of your thoughts, your energy, and your direction. Detachment from noise is not indifference. It is strength. It is the courage to prioritize yourself over distraction, to value your growth over recognition, and to protect your mind from chaos. When you live free from the need to be understood, you gain clarity that others cannot touch. You make decisions based on strategy, not emotion. You act with intention rather than reaction. This freedom allows you to rise above the patterns that hold most people back. Psychology explains why this works. The human mind is easily hijacked by external stimuli. Opinions, judgments, and comparisons trigger emotional responses that scatter focus and drain energy. By cultivating silence, by choosing not to engage with unnecessary input, you protect your cognitive resources. You free your mind to plan, to create, and to execute with precision. Your attention becomes your superpower, and in 2025, attention is the most valuable currency you can possess. True freedom also removes dependency. When you stop relying on validation, when you stop seeking approval, when you stop measuring your worth through others' eyes, you become untouchable. You no longer live in reaction to someone else's expectations. You no longer adjust your path to fit their comfort. You move forward with confidence because your value is intrinsic. Your energy is reserved for building your life, not defending it. Imagine the weight lifting from your shoulders when you release the need to constantly engage with the world. Imagine the mental space you gain when every reaction is intentional, every word measured, every action deliberate. Imagine the peace of knowing that your progress, your vision, and your energy are yours alone. That peace is power, and power unshaken by external noise is freedom. This freedom also magnifies your growth. The less you are influenced by distraction, the more efficient your work becomes. The more you protect your energy, the faster you build strength, skill, and clarity. Every silent choice compounds into momentum. Every decision to focus inward instead of outward creates leverage that propels you forward. Freedom from noise is not passive. It is an active strategy for exponential personal evolution. Those who embrace this freedom are rare, but they are unstoppable. They move through life with calm authority, unseen but felt. They make progress quietly while others exhaust themselves in chaos. Their results speak louder than words, and their energy is untouchable. In silence, they have cultivated a power that cannot be borrowed, challenged, or stolen. Choosing freedom through silence is choosing yourself. It is choosing clarity over chaos, focus over distraction, and strength over approval. It is claiming the one thing the world cannot take from you, control over your mind, your energy, and your destiny. And once you step into this freedom, you begin to live a life that is unstoppable, unshakable, and unapologetically your own. Clarity is born in silence. When you step away from the constant noise, the distractions, the opinions, you create space to see yourself and your path with precision. In a world that thrives on chaos, clarity is your greatest advantage. It allows you to recognize what truly matters, to distinguish between what is urgent and what is essential, and to direct every ounce of your energy toward building the life you desire. The human mind cannot think deeply when it is overwhelmed by input. Every notification, every debate, every external expectation fragments your attention and clouds your judgment. But when you embrace silence, your mind organizes itself. Your priorities become sharper. Your decisions become more strategic. Your goals, once muddled by constant distraction, crystallize into a vision that is undeniable. This clarity is not superficial. It is deep, resilient, and rooted in self-awareness. Clarity also brings confidence. When you understand your purpose, your actions become intentional rather than reactive. You no longer sway with every opinion or adjust your course to appease others. You act from a place of certainty because you know your direction, your values, and your priorities. The confidence that comes from this kind of clarity is unshakable. It does not depend on approval, recognition, or validation. It exists independently, a constant source of strength that guides every step you take. Psychology shows that people who live with clarity experience less stress, make better decisions, and achieve higher levels of performance. Noise, on the other hand, triggers anxiety, indecision, and distraction. By cultivating silence, you create the mental environment necessary for peak performance. You stop reacting to the chaos around you and start creating outcomes that reflect your true potential. Every moment of focused stillness compounds into progress, efficiency, and mastery. Clarity also protects your energy. When your mind is organized and focused, you no longer waste time or emotion on things that do not serve your growth. Every interaction, every decision, every effort becomes purposeful. Energy that would have been lost to distraction is now invested in actions that build strength, skill, and resilience. In this way, clarity is not only a mental state, but a form of power that amplifies everything you do. Imagine living with this level of focus. Imagine knowing exactly where you are going and refusing to be pulled off course. Imagine the calm confidence of making decisions that align perfectly with your goals without the interference of outside noise. Imagine the freedom of energy fully devoted to growth rather than scattered across distractions that lead nowhere. This is the life clarity provides, and it is only possible through silence and focus. The people who rise above the chaos are not the loudest. They are not constantly seeking approval or recognition. They are those who have mastered silence, who have cultivated focus, and who act with precision because they see clearly where they are headed. Their results speak louder than words. Their energy is untouchable. Their progress is unstoppable. Choosing clarity through silence is choosing yourself. It is choosing purpose over distraction, intention over reaction, and wisdom over impulse. It is the foundation for every success you will ever achieve and the source of a power that cannot be taken from you. In silence, with focus and clarity, you become unshakable, unstoppable, and undeniable. Consistency is the invisible engine behind every transformation.